From Dinar Shift, we begin today's analysis with an unprecedented report that has sent an undeniable ripple of excitement and shock throughout the global currency watching community. For years, the Iraqi Dinar IQD has been one of the most closely monitored currencies by a dedicated global network of observers, researchers, and long-term holders. Today, that entire landscape was fundamentally shaken by the appearance of a live rate flash that is simply staggering in its potential implications. This development, which has been circulating intensely across financial dashboards and community-driven monitoring platforms, claimed to show the IQD trading at an astonishing $3.30 per dinar. To put this number into perspective for any viewer, regardless of their history following the story, this figure represents a profound and dramatic movement that, if it were to be officially adopted and sustained, would be recorded as a monumental event in modern currency history. The sheer emotional weight of this reported number has created an instantaneous and massive energy surge across every digital platform associated with dinar observation. The initial reaction within the community has been explosive, with social media channels, forums, and private discussion groups instantly becoming overwhelmed by a flood of messages, posts, and real-time video recordings. The central question dominating all conversations is one of interpretation. Is this astonishing $3.30 rate a temporary technical anomaly, a glitch in the system reflecting an erroneous figure? Could it be a controlled pre-adjustment test, a calculated move by financial authorities to gauge market reaction and infrastructure capacity? Or, conversely, is this the first undeniable, visible indication that the long-awaited economic and currency reforms, consistently discussed in regional financial circles, are finally coming into full, tangible effect? The speculation is running at an all-time high, driven by the sheer magnitude of the reported figure, and it serves as a powerful reminder of the intense focus that has been placed on the dinar's trajectory for many years. We urge our viewers to remain with us as we meticulously dissect the reported details, analyze the community's emotional response, and provide the essential context required to understand this highly fluid situation. At the absolute core of the day's widespread commotion is the fleeting but immensely impactful appearance of this $3.30 figure on public-facing tracking screens. Seasoned observers within the IQD community readily acknowledge that temporary rate flashes are not entirely foreign to this space. Minor, often quickly corrected, technical flickers have occurred sporadically over the years. However, the $3.30 number reported today is qualitatively and quantitatively different. It is a value far beyond anything that has been observed or speculated upon during routine rate test cycles, prompting a deeper level of questioning among analysts. Many are debating whether complex financial systems might be running large-scale internal simulations, or if international banking channels are actively preparing for much more significant foundational monetary adjustments for the Iraqi currency. Whatever the underlying cause, the appearance of this single number has completely redefined the conversation. The moment this extraordinary rate became visible, a massive, uncoordinated wave of screenshots began to proliferate across every major platform used by dinar watchers. Community members who have been following this story for years have attested that the sheer speed of information sharing was unprecedented, noting that social feeds and discussion threads reached volumes of engagement, thousands of comments and shares within a matter of minutes. This instant mobilization speaks to the deep, long-term anticipation built into this topic. Large online groups immediately transitioned into real-time analysis mode, initiating detailed examinations of the screenshots, comparing timestamps, attempting to corroborate the data across multiple international feeds, and rigorously debating whether the event was a live technical system update or a deliberate intentional signal from a higher authority. Even the more conservative voices within the currency-watching community, those analysts who typically caution against premature excitement and warn viewers about the dangers of reacting to unsubstantiated rumors, have publicly acknowledged that today's development carries a weight and intensity not seen in recent memory. They note that the coordinated and widespread nature of the report suggests something more significant than a random error. This collective acknowledgement from cautious sources is a key reason why today's news is being treated with such seriousness. The atmosphere shifted dramatically and instantly, moving from a position of detached, speculative curiosity to one of genuine, widespread shock and urgent analysis across the globe. Reports quickly emerged from holders located in various international time zones, confirming that they too had managed to check multiple tracking dashboards and had witnessed the same phenomenal figure, though often only for a brief window of time. Some viewers reported that their personal tracking screens updated multiple times to reflect the figure, lending a small degree of visual consistency to the flash. This synchronized observation triggered an overwhelming wave of excitement naturally, but it was also tempered by a necessary layer of caution. The community understands the critical importance of distinguishing between a controlled test figure, which has no immediate real-world value, and a confirmed, actionable currency adjustment. Despite the required prudence, the sheer volume and focused intensity of today's digital chatter are unparalleled in the recorded history of the dinar monitoring space. Expert analysts who specialize in the historical behavior of global currency rates quickly pointed out that the 3.30 figure is far from a random or symbolic number. In their detailed long-term projections and models, many seasoned watchers have often cited a value range around this mark as what could plausibly represent the dinar's real-world strength if the nation's economic potential were to be fully recognized and integrated within global financial markets. This specific, high-value flash figure, appearing suddenly and unexpectedly, aligns symbolically with those long-term calculated estimates. This unexpected convergence between established long-term speculation and the brief, dramatic data point is what caused the community reaction to immediately escalate to maximum alert status, driving the story to viral proportions across the internet. The rapid escalation prompted individuals to actively reach out to each other, initiate live broadcasts on social media, and question whether commercial banks, regional financial centers, or specialized foreign currency brokers were receiving any internal indicators or preparing for upcoming material shifts. The emotional tone of these discussions is best described as urgent but highly energized. This potent combination of immediate alert and shared excitement is the mechanism that has propelled this story to the forefront of financial discussions across continents. The event is a unique psychological trigger, pulling together a disparate global community of observers and focusing their attention on a single, astonishing data point in a way that has rarely been seen before, demonstrating the deep-seated hopes and commitment associated with the currency. One of the most intriguing elements of this remarkable day's widespread discussion is not simply the number itself, but the specific moment in time it chose to emerge. The dramatic rate flash reportedly occurred during a period when the general consensus suggested that major updates or systemic activity were least likely to happen. This time frame is often characterized by lighter global market scheduling, weekend-influenced processing patterns, and a general tendency towards stabilizing quiet behavior across major currency platforms. The sudden, high-magnitude event, cutting through this typically calm cycle, is what makes it stand out so sharply and draw such intense scrutiny from observers worldwide, suggesting a level of intentionality. Veteran observers of financial system activity and currency recalibrations posited that unusual timing like this often serves as a subtle hint that back-end recalibrations, or deep cross-system tests, are being executed outside of traditional peak market hours to minimize immediate XD. RNAL visibility or impact. Conversely, others propose that this non-peak timing might indicate that certain preliminary adjustments are being run discreetly, allowing the global financial infrastructure to process and react without the immediate public pressure that would accompany a major announcement during an active trading day. Regardless of the interpretation, there is universal agreement that the timing significantly amplifies the event's importance, adding layers of mystery and urgency to the analytical task. The community is now meticulously sifting through the available data, cross-referencing timestamps, and actively formulating theories to explain why this particular moment, of all possible times, was chosen for such a dramatic rate to suddenly appear on live dashboards. Some observers are advocating the belief that this could be an extremely early, almost preemptive sign of broader systemic adjustments planned for the remainder of 2025, suggesting a long runway for changes. Others maintain their more cautious stance, insisting that the event is simply a high-level technical stress test designed to probe system capacity. Crucially, the unified reaction across the entire spectrum of the IQD watching community confirms that regardless of the cause, the report is being treated with the highest degree of seriousness. Among the most pressing questions being raised by the global viewing audience is whether this temporary rate flash has any credible, demonstrable connection to the ongoing, high-level discussions regarding Iraq's long-term economic transformation, comprehensive reconstruction strategies, and its well-publicized currency stability plans. These topics are frequently highlighted in regional and international news cycles. While it is essential to note that these broad policy discussions do not, in and of themselves, guarantee a revaluation or the immediate adoption of a new high-value rate, they invariably serve as powerful signals regarding the country's long-term financial direction. This signaling function alone is sufficient to keep observers globally on a heightened state of alert and monitoring. The $3.30 appearance has forcefully revived extensive, in-depth conversations about financial transparency, the continued modernization of Iraq's banking sector, and the immense potential for long-term currency optimization that many believe the country possesses. Although all temporary data flashes must be approached with a professional degree of caution and skepticism until officially confirmed, the sheer size and specificity of today's figure align uncannily with long-held projections, used by some analysts when discussing the theoretical possibilities of a fair market value for the dinar under a scenario of full global financial recognition. This alignment is not a prediction, but it is the powerful emotional and analytical hook that drove the immediate, overwhelming reaction from a long-patient community. This symbolic correlation between established, hopeful expectations and today's completely unexpected data point has forcefully pushed community excitement to levels rarely observed, creating an atmosphere of intense, focused anticipation. It is precisely this profound level of excitement and energy that has led thousands of people across various online platforms to confidently declare this event the single biggest, most significant day of 2025 so far for those intently monitoring the dinar's movement. The community's collective engagement has become a story in itself, reflecting years of suppressed anticipation, suddenly released by a single dramatic piece of data, however ephemeral it may prove to be in the final analysis. Within minutes of the initial $3.30 screenshot wave hitting the community's DI, Jital Shore's social media platforms experienced a massive surge in activity. Live streams, often unscheduled, erupted instantly as content creators scrambled to go on camera and address the breaking news. Podcast hosts and commentators abruptly shifted their focus, rushing to gather any verifiable details they could find. The volume of incoming comments and questions completely overwhelmed many platform moderators, highlighting the sheer scale of the collective mobilization. The defining characteristic of this moment was the speed and universality with which the entire dinar community seemed to spring into action, driven by a shared, powerful trigger. Some longtime community members openly described this particular event as potentially the most significant dinar alert event of the entire decade, while others characterized it more hopefully as the moment that everyone following the story had been patiently and diligently waiting for. Regardless of individual perspectives, the collective emotional surge across the internet was absolutely palpable and undeniable, creating a unifying effect. People shared deeply personal stories about their years of holding the IQD, their unwavering commitment to research, and the resilience they maintained through countless prior rumors, setbacks, and periods of doubt. Seeing a figure as high as $3.30 appear, whether it proves to be temporary, test-based, or ultimately meaningful, generated an emotional wave described by many viewers as overwhelming in its intensity. The intensity of the atmosphere only further escalated when major, well-established discussion channels and analytical groups confirmed in real time that they were seeing corroborating reports and screenshots of the same data flashes. Another extremely important dimension of today's developing story involves the sophisticated technical infrastructure underpinning global currency rate systems. When an anomalous and high-magnitude number like $3.30 appears, analysts immediately begin to professionally question whether the currency rate feed is currently undergoing necessary system maintenance, whether it is being used to test liquidity pathways, or if the infrastructure is being quietly prepared for potential future updates and structural changes. While it is a known fact that these complex systems can occasionally display temporary figures that never transition into official final rates, the sheer size of the $3.30 figure is the singular element that differentiates today's event from all prior incidents. A number of this extraordinary height is considered highly unlikely to appear without some level of deliberate programming, controlled sequence execution, or intentional testing being actively deployed behind the scenes. This reality does not serve as a confirmation of any official decision, but it does raise critically valid and unavoidable questions about the specific reasons such a dramatic number was chosen for display on a public-facing system. Some analytical experts are openly suggesting that if these systems are, in fact, running intentional tests with such a high figure, it could be interpreted as a strong, albeit indirect, indicator of serious preparatory work for future currency adjustments or broad stability recalibrations. Other, more cautious analysts continue to warn that all technical flashes, by their very nature, must be interpreted with extreme prudence, as they do not constitute formal, ratified decisions until they are officially announced and confirmed through established, credible channels. Nevertheless, even the most circumspect analysts concede that the data behavior witnessed today is unusually bold and sophisticated, almost certainly guaranteeing that it will provoke extensive global financial conversati. In the immediate days to come, Beyond the technical and structural discussions, the community's reaction is also powerfully shaped by how the $3.30 figure aligns with what many long-term watchers refer to as the historic benchmark zone. Over the long arc of this unique currency story, supporters have consistently speculated that if favorable global market conditions and sustained domestic economic reforms ever truly converged, the dinar could potentially revisit higher values historically observed in past decades. While it is crucial to understand that historical comparisons are not professional forecasts, the community finds today's figure emotionally resonant precisely because it so closely mirrors those aspirational historical benchmarks. And this deep emotional connection is a primary engine driving the massive viewer engagement seen today. People globally are expressing a complex mixture of intense hope, unrestrained excitement, confusion, and profound shock all at the very same time. Thousands of social media comments are dominated by the same essential questions. Is this finally the moment we've waited for? Is something truly happening behind the scenes that we cannot see? Is this a real indicator or just a sophisticated system test? These are entirely normal human reactions during periods of high turbulence and significant ambiguity. However, today's collective reaction is particularly heightened because the reported number is extraordinary in its magnitude and appears to align so sharply with long-standing community expectations, creating a perfect storm of anticipation. This powerful symbolic alignment between the community's established long-term belief structure and the unexpected appearance of today's rate is the primary force propelling the overall excitement to unprecedented heights across every accessible platform and discussion group. Our next critical area of focus must be the deep psychological and emotional impact this single event has had on the dedicated holders of the currency worldwide. For this community, the entire dinar journey has been defined by prolonged waiting, managing external skepticism, navigating constantly shifting rumors, and participating in endless internal debates about the right timing. Seeing a figure like $3.30 appear on a screen, even for a few moments, can feel like a profound and overwhelming validation after years of patient research and enduring uncertainty. Individuals who have held their currency for a decade or longer are describing today's event as a moment that instantaneously and forcefully reignited a deep sense of hope. Some immediately called family members to share the news. Others reconnected with long-dormant community groups, and still others reported simply sitting quietly, trying to fully process the potential magnitude of the moment. The emotional aspect of this story is utterly paramount and cannot be ignored. These sudden, high-profile flashes are powerful catalysts, capable of triggering massive, adrenaline-fueled waves of joy, stress, and intense anticipation. This is precisely why today's news report is so impactful. It has created a unifying moment of incredible intensity among the global network of IQD watchers, transcending geographical and time zone boundaries. From a purely financial analysis perspective, one of the most significant and widely debated questions of the day is what this event suggests about global markets' perception of Iraq's long-term economic development trajectory. A sudden high-rate flash, if it is credibly connected to internal official system testing, could be cautiously interpreted as an indication of technical preparation for greater financial integration, or a sign of stronger, more visible engagement within Internadio. NAL financial channels. However, analysts universally stress the critical necessity of not treating any temporary flash as a final official rate or a confirmed governmental action. Instead, the analytical focus must remain on understanding the reasons such a specific number was displayed today, and what that reason suggests about the nature and scope of any ongoing technical or regulatory adjustments behind the scenes. Some experts suggest this event could signal that Iraq's underlying financial infrastructures are currently being updated to meet modern, international standards and capacities. Others believe it may point toward a complex, cross-platform synchronization effort across major global institutions. A few maintain the cautious view that it may be nothing more than an isolated, programmed technical spike that carries no wider meaning. But regardless of the various interpretations, the event has demonstrably captured worldwide attention, and that fact alone firmly establishes it as a major talking point in the 2025 global financial landscape, guaranteeing continued scrutiny and coverage. A most crucial part of today's comprehensive coverage involves the operational response of the financial ecosystem. Specifically, how major commercial banks, currency brokers, and specialized service centers react when such extraordinary rate flashes begin to circulate wildly online. Historically, major financial institutions maintain a strict policy of not issuing any comment whatsoever on temporary rate movements that occur during internal or developmental testing cycles. This established behavior underscores the absolute necessity for all viewers to remain extremely cautious, and to absolutely avoid making any assumption that a displayed temporary number is a final, tradable, or officially confirmed rate. However, what truly distinguishes today's situation is the sheer, extraordinary value of the number itself, and the compounding factor of its unusual timing, which adds immense weight to its significance. Some community members have reported contacting their local currency centers to inquire if any system anomalies were internally recorded today, while others claimed their commercial banks reported absolutely no new changes on their end. This variation in received feedback is considered entirely normal and expected during the complex process of system-wide recalibrations. Large institutional financial processes typically move through multiple structured verification and testing phases before any structural currency changes are formally made official and publicly announced. While the widespread excitement is perfectly understandable, maintaining a grounded, reality-based perspective is entirely essential for navigating this period. The next important dimension we must address is the broader geopolitical and economic context that surrounds this event. Whenever major currency discussions emerge, particularly those involving a nation undergoing extensive economic restructuring and post-conflict recovery, analysts consistently integrate the current global environment into their considerations. The year 2025 has already been marked by significant domestic reforms, clear modernization trends, the formation of new cross-border partnerships, and an increasing international focus on stabilizing key regional markets. Against this busy backdrop of active change, today's utterly unexpected rate flash becomes even more compelling and worthy of deep analysis. Some financial experts have publicly suggested that all major economic reforms inherently require foundational adjustments within the financial infrastructure, and sophisticated technical tests are a normal, anticipated part of that complex process. Others argue that the number displayed today, $3.30, is far too specific and high to be interpreted as a purely random occurrence or generic test placeholder. But, once again, the consensus among all credible voices is that no one should leap to any definitive conclusions, based exclusively on a temporary and unconfirmed figure. The single, most critical takeaway is that when an event of this magnitude appears live, even if only for a brief moment, it instantly becomes a major, unavoidable subject of global financial discussion and intense scrutiny. As we continue to methodically analyze this evolving situation, one factor stands out with dramatic clarity. The global dinar community has never demonstrated this level of unity, this surge of collective energy, or this singular, deep focus on a single event. Viewers across the world are intensely glued to their screens, meticulously watching for every micro-update, actively sharing and comparing screenshots, and cross-referencing every piece of data. Individuals who previously maintained a cautious silence have now forcefully joined the conversation. Long-lost forum members have been instantly drawn back into the fold. Even former skeptics are publicly acknowledging that today's flash, regardless of its ultimate cause, test, or genuine movement, is fundamentally unlike anything observed in many years. And this unified, concentrated attention is a major element contributing to the historic nature of the day. Regardless of the eventual outcome this event may lead to, today's rate flash has undeniably re-energized a community that has spent countless years in a state of research, waiting, and patiently monitoring every small fluctuation in the currency's story. That shared sense of emotional unity is an incredibly powerful force, and it is the key driver pushing viewer engagement and digital traffic to record-breaking levels across all platforms. Another significant component of today's extensive coverage involves the practical aspect of preparation. When a rate flash of this magnitude occurs, viewers immediately and instinctively begin the process of reviewing their personal documentation, updating their financial records, and preparing for any conceivable scenario. This reaction is a natural defense mechanism against the unknown. These preparatory steps typically include meticulously checking all personal notes, verifying identification documents, ensuring the secure storage of their physical currency, and critically reviewing their existing financial plans. Although no one should make the grave assumption that a temporary rate display automatically equates to an immediate need for exchange preparation, these actions are a clear reflection of the extreme seriousness with which the community is reacting to today's flash, a seriousness that reflects years of pent-up anticipation and hope. This psychological element is an integral part of the narrative and cannot be separated from the raw data. Next, we must explore the effect today's event has on the psychological strategy of long-term currency holders. Sudden, high-impact flashes of data like this one can certainly create a rush of intense excitement and anticipation, but they can also simultaneously generate a significant degree of anxiety regarding critical factors like timing, decision-making pressures, and necessary planning adjustments. The most critically important advice currently being circulated and reinforced across the community today is remarkably simple. Viewers must strive to remain calm, maintain a deep commitment to patience, and stay continuously informed through verified sources. It is a core fact of major finance that no significant financial process or structural change happens instantaneously or without prior procedure. If anything formal and structural are to truly develop in the future, institutions are mandated to follow clearly structured, phased procedures and official protocols. This understanding means there is absolutely no need for viewers to panic, no justifiable reason for rushing into emotional decisions, or any immediate requirement for action. Remaining steady, calm, and analytically focused is the single most important and protective strategy during this volatile period of high anticipation and speculation. An additional fascinating aspect of the $3.30 flash is how it has forcefully revived detailed analytical debates that, for various reasons, had largely faded from the forefront of community discussion over the years. People are now actively pulling out older research reports, meticulously comparing historical economic models, revisiting archived charts, and closely reviewing past theoretical predictions. Some argue that today's extraordinary number closely aligns with projected value ranges based on Iraq's massive national resources and immense economic potential. Others suggest it perfectly fits predictions based on global trends of national modernization and integration. Regardless of the various interpretations, this single number has successfully reignited intellectual discussions on a massive scale, one not witnessed in a very long time. Analysts are working quickly to publish detailed breakdowns. Content creators are already preparing comprehensive deep dive videos, and commentators are actively planning live roundtable conversations to dissect the implications. Today's flash did not merely spark a brief moment of excitement, it successfully restarted the analytical engines and research focus of a dedicated global community that had been relatively quiet for years. We must also professionally address the inherent technical reliability of the rate-tracking dashboards that displayed the data. These complex platforms are designed to pull data from numerous digital routes and may, on occasion, display temporary, non-binding figures during scheduled updates, refresh cycles, or synchronization tests. This technical reality reinforces that not every displayed rate is a final, official, or tradable number. However, today's specific figure stands out powerfully because it reportedly remained visible for a period long enough for thousands of independent users to successfully capture verifiable screenshots, and multiple distinct platforms appeared to reflect similar high-value numbers. This crucial element of cross-platform repetition and near synchronization is what imparts significantly added weight and gravity to today's moment. A fleeting one-screen glitch is a common technical occurrence that can happen at any time. A synchronized, multi-platform flash of a dramatically high value is an extremely rare and sophisticated event, and that scarcity and complexity is what has truly shocked and focused the entire community. Another major point of debate involves the specific duration for which the remarkable rate flash was visible. Reports on this detail vary widely and are often contradictory. Some viewers claim the number appeared only for mere seconds before vanishing. Others confidently stated it remained visible for a duration long enough to allow for multiple manual refresh cycles. Still others reported that the figure faded in and out in a patterned sequence, as if it were part of a complex automated system test script. These inherent inconsistencies are not unusual during periods of intensive technical updates and data synchronization. The most important unifying factor remains that people from geographically disparate regions witnessed the same extraordinary number within a very similar time frame. That degree of reported uniformity significantly strengthens the perceived importance of today's data flash and lends a powerful layer of credibility to the widespread idea that something significant was actively transpiring behind the operational scenes. Returning to the profound emotional impact, many viewers described the entire experience of witnessing the flash as utterly surreal. Some reported their hands were physically shaking as they saw the $3.30 figure appear. Others felt completely speechless, while many simply stared at their screens in a state of genuine disbelief. For individuals who have patiently endured years of uncertainty, skepticism, and rumors, seeing a number this massive and hopeful, even if only momentarily, can naturally trigger deep, powerful, and complex emotional responses. This broadcast is explicitly designed to fully recognize and validate that emotional intensity while simultaneously guiding viewers to maintain necessary clarity, balance, and a grounded perspective. Excitement is a perfectly natural human response, but remaining strategically grounded is absolutely essential for long-term health and decision-making. In global currency watching communities, moments of this magnitude are exceptionally rare. They are powerful forces that instantly create massive waves of speculation, detailed analysis, and intense anticipation. Yet they also inherently demand responsible, balanced, and factually grounded discussion from all participants. Our core goal today is not to generate or push unnecessary hype, promote fear, or foster unrealistic financial expectations. Our mission remains, as always, to accurately report on the developing conversation, professionally analyze the community's diverse reactions, and assist our viewers in understanding the most complete and accurate, broader context possible. The number reported today is undeniably dramatic, and the community's swift response is equally dramatic. However, responsible and reasoned interpretation demands patience, clarity of thought, and the careful, sustained observation of all future verifiable developments. A final, unifying focus of today's coverage is the profound sense of renewed unity the event has generated. Countless viewers have openly stated that they feel more connected to the global community than they have in years. Live chat sessions have been overwhelmingly filled with supportive conversations, shared excitement, and sincere encouragement across all threads. People who normally engage in heated arguments about speculative predictions or timing seem today to be completely united by a common, overriding sense of wonder and focus on the technical data. That powerful, shared sense of unity is one of the most positive, lasting outcomes of this entire event. Regardless of the ultimate trajectory of the currency, moments of shared unity serve as a critical reminder of the original, foundational purpose of the community: shared research, shared curios, and a shared long-term hope for a positive outcome. Now, we must turn our attention toward the practical question of what happens next. Following a rate flash of this extreme magnitude, seasoned experts typically recommend a period of intense, focused observation of the system's behavior over the next 48 to 72 hours. This critical timeframe often provides the clearest indicators of whether the flash was a truly isolated, one-off test, whether it represents the first phase of a multi-phase recalibration process, or if it is in fact an early tangible sign of deeper structural system updates that are being gradually rolled out across the infrastructure. Viewers are strongly advised to calmly monitor their dashboards, actively avoid overreacting to every minor subsequent movement, and focus their analytical energy on observing patterns and trends rather than fixating on single isolated numbers. If additional abnormalities appear, analysts will immediately dissect them accordingly. If systems return to a state of complete stabilization, that information is equally vital to the analysis. The core principle for all viewers remains focused observation, not emotional panic. As we approach the concluding segments of today's extraordinary broadcast, we fundamentally revisit the core headline, the reported temporary IQD explosion, where a rate of $3.30 reportedly appeared live, instantaneously sending the entire global dinar community into an unprecedented uproar of analysis and excitement. Regardless of what this high-value number ultimately represents, whether it is definitively confirmed as a temporary system test, a sophisticated synchronization cycle, or something far more structurally significant, it has unquestionably shocked and powerfully shaken the global dinar-watching world to its very core. It has forcefully reignited essential debates, revived community engagement to record levels, and deeply re-energized countless individuals who have patiently followed this long journey for years. Today's fleeting flash will be remembered, meticulously analyzed, and intensely discussed for a very long time to come. And whether this moment directly leads to further structural developments or simply enters the record books as a historic, pivotal moment in IQD monitoring history, its immediate unifying impact is already enormous and undeniable. Finally, to all of our dedicated viewers watching this urgent broadcast right now on Dinar Shift, we reiterate the most important guidance. You must remain calm, stay continuously informed only through credible channels, maintain your observant analytical focus, and remain structurally grounded in your thinking. Today was unquestionably a major history-making moment, very possibly one of the single biggest events in recent dinar watching history, and the entire global financial world will be paying extremely close attention to what visibly and systemically happens next. If verifiable future shifts or structural movements occur, we pledge to cover them immediately and in full detail. If definitive clarity emerges from official sources, we will break down the information completely and without bias. Until then, thank you for joining us during this truly extraordinary broadcast. Please keep your channel notifications activated, stay steady in your resolve, and we will update you the very moment new, verifiable information develops.